All right, I'm showing 20 past. Shall we get this road on the show and talk about a few things? All right. Hello, my name is Tom Bridge. I'm the Director of Product Management for jumpcloud, specifying on the device management side of the house. And I'm joined by Joel Rennich, who's the Director of, you're the Head of Device Identity at jumpcloud and jumpcloud Labs. We're here today to talk about the Open Directory future on macOS and Windows. And so one of the things that we want to talk about today is what's jumpcloud, because if not everybody's heard of us, we're not a Jamf, we're not a Kanji, we're a jumpcloud, and that's a little bit different than a lot of the other point solutions that are out there for managing your devices and managing your identity. Then we're going to dive into the macOS login window. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about something that we're calling device user refresh tokens. And then we're going to talk about a Windows credential provider. What? Windows at a Mac conference? Have you brought a heretic into your midst? Yes, you have. We've been spending a lot of time across multiple platforms because we recognize that not every environment can be Mac only. For example, try taking an accountant's Excel away from them, their Windows version of Excel, and I will show you a revolt the likes of which you have never seen. And then we want to spend a little bit of time talking about the future of identity, especially on the Apple platform side of the house. So with that said, who's jumpcloud? I was going to say we're a G2 grid leader in all sorts of things, including, identity and access management, single sign-on, and, we support more than 200,000 organizations worldwide. We've raised a bunch of money. We have a bunch of people. We're in 10 countries right now, and we're a fairly effective organization for managing not just your identity, but your users and your devices as well. So if we think about what IT's job is to bring order from chaos. We are there to take the requirements from our end users. We are there to express them safely out to the depth and breadth of our platform. That can be identities that come from Google Workspace, from Microsoft 365, or HRIS systems like HiBob or Personio, or Namely or Bamboo HR. We're there to secure your devices across platforms no matter where they are. Your organization may have Windows devices, it may have Macs, it may have the odd Linux laptop out there. You will also have mobile devices like your iPhone or your Android phones that are out there in the field with your staff. How are you protecting those things together? In addition, we want to make sure that you have frictionless access to all of those things, which is to say you're not faffing about, which I believe is the correct usage of that term, Mr. Toms, for identity and messing about with passwords and access requirements on an app-by-app basis. Deep in the weeds, you're handling it from a central environment. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that you are compliant with your own policies through the use of multi-factor authentication, whether that's push-based, like Graham Gilbert told us is totally not useful, or code generators, or hardware keys. And jumpcloud can help you with all of these things. If you think about the patchwork of tools that we have to do our jobs with on a regular basis, we think that you can do all of this together with jumpcloud, whether that's remote access or password management or your device management and single sign-on objects. You can do that all for less money from the jumpcloud platform. So when we think about an open directory platform, and I apologize for using the words open directory at an Apple conference. I know that there's some baggage there. We've all had to rebuild that open directory master that fell apart at 2 in the morning from a Bender backup, of course. And when we think about what an open directory platform is, you have a ton of different pieces providing you identities all of the time. HRIS systems, IDPs, and they can feed into our Open Directory platform. We can also serve as that IDP role, or we can be a service provider in those cases. But what we're there to do is unify the identities and their entitlements and all of the verification associated with those identities. And then from there, we're there to push them back out to devices, to apps, to infrastructure like Amazon, and to networks like radius-backed access control. So jumpcloud's there to be your open directory platform for the future. And so we're here to take identities from anywhere and take them to everywhere you use them. So if you think about all of the different kinds of events and access points and devices that you have to bring to bear, you want to make sure that you've got a solid control plane for all of them with good events logging, with good insights and reportable events and fleet diagnostics that go with all of those things, and to have them from one central API-driven platform. And so for all of these things, that requires a lot of device management and a lot of device identity management. So now we're going to do things a little bit differently, and I'm done with the marketing talk. You won't have to listen to any more marketing. We're here to show you the science and the technology behind all of it. And so we're going to pray to the demo gods for mercy. And today we're going to do it live. And we are going to be showing you some things that are not yet in the platform but are coming very soon. And for that, I invite Joel to join us. So I'm going to disconnect and hope that that doesn't break anything for everybody else.
We are definitely playing with fire because we got 3 laptops we may be running through here. We don't even have space for all these. Fantastic. This is going to be great. All right. Couple of things. A couple of stuff that we've been working on. First is, we're going? There we go.
There you go. All right.
All right. I'll get back into Keynote. We're, because I don't have it. I have it set for the window, right? I got to set it for... stop. And what is it? It's view. Where do you get it where it shows in a window? Play? There you go, in full screen. Thank you. All right. So one of the things we've been working on is device user refresh tokens. Unfortunately, the marketing team is probably not going to let us call it dirt. I think it's kind of cool. We're currently looking at like jumpcloud Go or something like that. And it's our take on what I think there's only a couple out there. It's a Microsoft PRT, a central primary refresh token, or an Okta would be what would be under FastPass. All right, so a way of creating a hardware-backed identity that combines a user and a device together, and then allow that to be used for very simple operations. With us, it's dirt kind of built on this. Pyramids are sometimes associated with Ponzi schemes, but this is a pyramid of trust, right? And so we're building a trust pyramid here with a device cert, so proving it's managed, proving it's under your management with policies and other things. We're using that to prove the device. We're doing an ID token from an OpenID Connect flow, so that's proving the user. We're combining that into a device user key. This is a dirt duck. The names are great. I had a fun time coming up with all of these. So, and that is in the TPM on Windows or in the Secure Enclave on the Mac. All right. So that way you have a hardware-backed token that you can then use for authentication going further on, which the duck gets you a dirt. This is your actual single user dirt. It's refreshed every time, very OAuth-y if you're familiar with those. And then from there we get into a session. And how this is going to look for the user. It's good for 14 days. It's refreshed on use, but you must re-auth every 90 days. So with a little bit of luck, you're maybe only re-authenticating in Chrome every 4 months or every 3 months, so 4 times a year. So hopefully we can make that really easy for you. We are going to require a biometric every 12 hours so that once a day the user has to touch ID, do the Face ID, whatever else. We are going to link it into our login window. So if you've just signed in, it's the beauty of having a login window, the management, the identity all together. If you've just signed in, you won't have to redo that again once you get into Chrome to then express your identity going forward. What this looks like, getting dirty, see the puns are great. We've got a new login window that we'll show you off in a little bit. So this is going to allow you to actually authenticate. That's going to pass that user authentication flow. So as soon as you get into Chrome, our Chrome extension will kick in. The dirt will already be there, and you'll be able to single sign on to various devices and services and other things without any issues. We're also looking at what it would look like from our little menu bar app. So you'd be able to see that universal SSO. Again, that'll probably come up with jumpcloud Go. We had so many iterations of seamless single sign-on, SSSO, universal SSO. All the good names are taken. So when you get to Chrome, it'll look something like this, right? So you've got the option to sign in with your local device user refresh token, right? Or if you want to sign in as somebody else, which is something we still wanted to give you the optionality for, especially as admins. As end users, they're probably not signing in as multiple personalities that much, but as end users or as admins, you may be. So you can actually ignore the device user token that you have and go down to email and sign in with there. We do a bit of a demo, but it's pretty boring. You click and you get signed in. So it's going to be in Chrome through a Chrome extension, and that works with a native messaging host that we have natively on the system. This is a fun little chart of how it's going. So it goes through the Chrome extension. It goes through, we have a Dirt client, which is native messaging handler. That talks to the TPM or the secure enclave, gets some signatures from the requests. Requests hit our Dirt API, which uses some tokens from a secure token service, which then generates a session JWT, which then allows you to get into your service. So for us, originally, it's going to be through the user console in jumpcloud or through any of the SSO apps that you have. Our goal here is by having it be something that's hardware backed, we can easily make this much more protected against session hijacking and some of the other attacks that are out there, right? So you can't remove this token from this device. It's in the TPM, it's in the secure enclave. So that's really good there. We allow this whole round trip. And what we're going to be working on in the not too distant future is then going to be a continuous conditional access aspect to this. Since we control access through the Dirt client to the TPM or the secure enclave, we're going to be able to validate right here whether you have the right version of the operating system, whether you've got File Vault enabled, whether you've got whatever other policies that you want to put into this. At which time we can either decide to allow or deny that authentication. And then since we've got a Chrome extension, we can actually put some UI into the Chrome and into the web page there, so the user doesn't just get this random, sucks to be you, but they actually know, hey, you're not on 10.13.1a, so you need to go to System Update and take a look at that and go through there. So you should see this coming out. We're hoping to start using it ourselves in the next couple of weeks. We go into our dog food system first, and then we start rolling it out to early access and then to general access out of that. Mac and PC, currently in Chrome, we are looking at some ways to have this same flow as a registered device, either for BYO desktops, which is maybe not a huge thing, but definitely for mobile devices. So on Android and iOS, where you're going to be able to have this kind of single click in. In the jumpcloud console, this will show up as an MFA factor. All right, we're going to do more with it after that, but it's initially going to show up as an MFA factor because it is a combination of something you have, this hardware that you have, and then who you are with that usage of the ID token to prove who you are there. All right, so it shows up as an MFA, and then certainly shortly after that, we'll start having some pull downs in our conditional access where you can force it just to be Dirt. So that's an easy way of, we're kind of looking this at like a device trust 2.0. We have a device trust now where we drop certificates down on the drive. It's cool, but then, certificates in the browser sometimes get a little bit wonky. Users get these weird keychain requests on a time. So we really want to remove all of that. Plus, as an admin with Chrome, you have really strong controls over what extensions are or are not loaded. So by having control over that, you can really control whether Dirt is going to be available in those situations.
The other thing that's really important to recognize is that this is not a phishable credential. There is no way to get intercepted where the attacker can take any part of your identity and reuse it to actually authenticate in those cases. Because the keys are held in that secure enclave or the trusted platform module, and so it can't be used that way. So as we think about a credential that's stronger against the kind of attacks that our customers are facing all of the time, this ticks all of the boxes to make your authentication process less password heavy and more secure.
All right, cooler stuff. Well, not maybe cooler stuff, but stuff that I've been wanting to do for a while. A lot of the things I wanted to put in Jamf Connect that never made it, here we are. All right, cool. So our new login window we're working on, we've got a really nice, wireless, menu, so you can pull down, see all the stuff. If you need to authenticate, you've got that in here. We'll take usernames and passwords. There you go. So you can, if I had the password for Labor Exhibitions, I'd be there. We could connect in. We'll take username and password. If you really want to talk about certificate-based authentication, we can do that. But I don't know how many people truly care about that. At the login window gets a little bit weird because your cert's got to be in the system keychain. We got a little icon in the upper left-hand corner, which you can kind of see that shows whether you're actually connected to the internet or not. So when your users are like, what's going on? I'm having trouble authenticating. You say, hey, do you see a globe in the upper left-hand corner? I wanted to get a little ping tool in there, and I almost had it, but I figured I probably shouldn't recompile as Tom was talking. So discretion is the better part of valor there.
Yes.
But we're looking at maybe making that a little more active so you could have some connectivity back to a particular host that you have. On the other side, where'd my mouse go? There's my mouse. We've got some real nice system information in here, so it's really easy to be able to see what OS, MAC address, everything else, right? Because otherwise you got to squint at the back of the case, and that type's getting real tiny back there. I also have I have a debug config menu here. That's not when you actually run this as a login window, so just let you know, we don't keep preferences right here in the login window. So here's like a user account. Some of the other stuff that we're working on, if you have to reset your password in jumpcloud, you can now type it in here, and we're looking at adding a complexity picker right here on the view, so you've got a good idea as to why your password isn't being taken, and understand if you need more alphanumerics or something else in there. So real nice for the end user so they know what's going on. If I turn off the still managed user, there you go. For local MFA, it looks pretty much similar. We already do local MFA now, but we wanted to make the interface look a lot nicer, more modern. So you've got the option between TOTP. So if you're offline, you still have an MFA opportunity there. We are looking at what else we can do offline. I really don't like TOTP. It's kind of ugly. It just doesn't seem very modern and sexy. But at the same time, once you're offline, we didn't really want to deal with Bluetooth to the phone. That seemed also a little bit janky. So we're still looking at some better ways that we might be able to do MFA there. We also do jumpcloud push. So if I authenticate here, actually I got to turn on the agent again. Let me do that real quick. So if I go here and I'm actually using our agent live, if I do an authentication and hit OK, oh, my phone's over here. So I go get my phone, and I can go to my jumpcloud Protect app. And then you can see I'm getting the push notification here. I say yes, approve, and that's going to take me through, and then I'm going to be signing in. So some cool stuff that we've got there. Let me just restart this, and I'll show you another flow that we've been working on. So we also have live authentication to jumpcloud. Here we go. It's just a little web view. Goes straight back to our OpenID Connect flows. So you can sign in, have MFA, have other things here. We'll use this for just-in-time provisioning. We want to give you some flexibility in the jumpcloud console. So you can say, right now, because you can bind users to devices. It's a cool feature of jumpcloud. You can say, I've got these 55 Macs. I want this user, boom, we'll blast that out account to all 55 Macs. You can immediately log in even offline because we've already pushed the account. But there's a lot of times when you don't know who the user is that's going to get the device, right? Especially if you're warehousing, setting them up in the IT shop, and then shipping them out to customers. Now you'll be able to just sign in. They can go with their email address and everything else and go through here. However, we're also looking at apdu.dev, fully federated environment. So here I'm coming in with a user that's actually got authentication back through Okta, and I'm going to sign in with my password. That's going to give me a push.
You got to actually tell it to push.
Yeah, but I got to get up the push app. Send a push notification. All right, so there we go. Here I just got my push. I hit 16, and now I'm authenticated, and I'll be able to create an account and go through there. So some really cool things that we have there to allow you to set this up. One of the newer things that we're looking at is we're kind of taking a page out of the Windows world. Who's got Windows machines? All right. Half, 2/3 of the audience. Really like that Windows Hello flow, where you're setting up a local PIN. I know I'm a prime reason why there's a lot of password synchronization between AD and or cloud identities on the Mac. I don't want to sync passwords anymore, right? I want to be in a future where your cloud authentication doesn't have a password period. You're using passkeys or something else like we've already talked about. And that means when you get onto the local device, how do you sign in? If you don't have a password in the cloud, I've got no password to sign in. So we want to start creating local PINs. All right, on the Windows, this is the flow that you use with Windows Hello for Business. Sign in with your Azure account, you'll create a local PIN. It cannot be the same as your Azure password. right? Specifically, they're blocking you from doing that, so they have some blast radius protection between those systems. We're looking at doing the same thing, so you'd set up a local PIN here and be able to walk through that process to ensure that you now had a local PIN completely disconnected from your cloud password that you might still have in jumpcloud, different password policies and other things. We'll let you still do the synchronization. We already do that, so it's not any extra work for us. But in particular, if we're going to do a federation, right? So I just signed in with Okta, but I really signed in with a jumpcloud account that was federated with an Okta account. In that case, I don't know what your Okta password is. You don't want me to know what your Okta password is, so that's why I've got to have a local PIN that you're going to set up here anyway. And that allows us to still manage your identity, because we know it's going back to Okta, it's in that federated state, but we still have a local PIN, so you can lock the user out, you can reset them, things like that when you need to. So some of the stuff that we'll be working on as we go forward. All right, another fun thing that I've got here, boom, let's put that in. Oh, we're putting in some usage text up at the top, so if your corporate overlords require you to have scary text for legal purposes, boom, we'll be able to put that in there and make that real easy. So I'm going to sign in here as another user. I'm going to have to do this again. So I'm going to do my push authentication. This is the problem with push authentication, is it works too often, right? There we go. Protect, boom, boom, boom. Yes, approve. All right, so I've signed in. Who uses Swift Dialog? A few folks. Who uses DEP Notify? All right, my code, Swift Dialog's better. Use Swift Dialog. All right, there's no more changes coming to DEP Notify. At least Jamf seems like there's no changes coming to DEP Notify. So use Swift Dialog. Bart's a great guy. He and I were chatting, and I said, wouldn't it be really cool if we put in Swift Dialog at the login window? And so now, during your login flows, you'll be able to have Swift Dialog as you know and love. There's quite a few kind of community projects that have been set up out there using Swift Dialog. And so we'll have the entire Swift Dialog facility in here. You'll be able to go through, make all the changes, and everything else, calling it from just the normal Swift Dialog commands. So I think it'd be a really nice way, these are xenomorphs taking over the world because AI is crazy and it's going to kill us all, right? But if you had more of a welcome to your Mac flow or something else like that, you'd be able to see that here as well. And to be able to go through those flows. So we reserve the right to have our own, maybe a little bit more on Rails onboarding system through here that you'd be able to control through the jumpcloud console and make it a little bit easier. But in the meantime, Swift Dialog's really great. It's got a good open source community, so you'll be able to have some real fun in there. And again, just kind of built into the login window so you can just see it. Questions on the Mac side? Silence. Question in the back.
Mr. Diego.
So, when you're logging in as your test user, you mentioned Have you considered using a hardware token such as a FIDO or YubiKey?
So we have. I do like hardware tokens. Who's using hardware tokens? Wow, actually more than I was expecting. Okay.
The reason I bring it up is because Apple is now allowing us to use them for things like personal iCloud accounts. So you're going to see a proliferation of them out.
Well, I expect we'll see a proliferation of passkeys, but maybe not necessarily as many hardware tokens, right? And this is where the hair is on the side of what a passkey versus a hardware token is. I can't use passkeys here, right? Because you haven't signed in. I don't have access to your keychain. It'd be really weird if you would use a passkey from your keychain before you were actually able to authenticate yourself to sign in. But I could use hardware tokens. So if there's an interest in hardware tokens, it shouldn't be that hard for us to put in. We're looking at what we can do with WebAuthn, because that's the other thing that we'd like to do in those web views, that you'd be able to use WebAuthn. So if you did have a hardware token, we could use that. We've got that working on the PC, but it does require us using Chromium instead of the built-in Apple WebKit views. Apple, I don't know, they got persnickety over who can have hardware keys or not. But if that's an interest, it's probably something we should be able to address. Even if there's not a web view involved, it's just local authentication. Who's got local MFA requirements? No hands. Wow.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Cool. Well, we can look at some of that stuff. All right. How much time do we have left?
Oh, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. All
A little
right.
less.
I've been moving fast, which is good. So let's move on to the third system. Luckily, these all, oh no, I need one of these. Will this work?
Possibly.
Is that HTML?
Oh, here, switch this out. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And then we can do this. Silly IT tricks, right? As we go through all of this. So we wanted to have some parity between the Mac and the PC. Is it thinking?
There we go.
There we go. All right. So we wanted to have some parity between the Mac and the PC, but we also wanted to have the ability to maintain the characteristics of those operating systems, right? At first, some folks in product were like, let's make it all look the same. Let's make it look native to each system. Plus, there's a lot of differences between the Mac login window and the PC login window. I didn't know that until I started working on the PC. So I've learned things over the last couple of months. I actually like the Windows flows a little bit nicer, mostly because you have to do a lot less work. Microsoft seems to have updated their APIs more recently than 10.3. I mean, we always used to complain, or not complain, but maybe joke that the Apple login window APIs happen to be the most stable APIs because they hadn't changed in a very, very long time. But there's goods and bads to that, right? So on the Windows side, you already have your network connectivity that's built in. So in the Mac side, we're just adding that into our login window. We are a credential provider and will most likely be an authorization package as well. If you know what those things are in Windows, we're going to be a credential provider and an authorization package, which lets us have a lot of control over what's going on. So the initial flow that we wanted to support is, again, that just-in-time account creation. So take your PCs, use one of the provisioning packages so you can actually get the jumpcloud agent, everything on it. You'll be creating an IT admin account on that system. So here we go. You'll then ship that device straight to the user, right? They'll be able to just open it up. They'll see the IT admin, but they won't know what to do with that because they don't have the password. And they can just go right here to log in. And then we'll be able to authenticate them again through that federation. So I did Okta before, so let me show you. I got to remember all my accounts. I think this one works. And there we go. So now we're on our third IDP of the afternoon. Here's Authenticator showing up, and it's number 30. So I'm going to click number 30. Boom, show my face. All right, so we're signed in. Sure, yes, why not? And now we're actually going to go through the normal Windows account creation process, which means we've got to create a PIN. We'll probably turn that into bullet text before too long, but whatever, you can see I've got a very bad PIN in this particular case. And then now you're going through the standard Windows new account creation. All right? So they'll get all the screens, getting things ready for you. We didn't have to write any of this code. It's really nice. We can do that. Once the user is in, they will be able to turn on Windows Hello. All right? So they can immediately go, if you've got the hardware for fingerprints or for the Face ID, they can go to System Preferences and be able to do that. Sign in that way. Don't turn off your PC.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. And once they're in, they're still going to be a jumpcloud managed user, so we can make sure the passwords get updated. We're also looking at this for federation, since we've already got these PIN flows. This is your water.
That is my water.
That I keep thinking I'm going to drink. It's over there, thank you.
Yes.
So if I click through this real quick, we all accept the EULA, right? Yay. All right, so now I'm just a standard user. Be able to do all the things that I want to do on Windows. When I sign out, so if I go here and sign out, although I think it shows my name is live.com or whatever, I got to map it over better. No, and actually, there you go, devadmin@apdu.dev. So now I can re-sign in just with my PIN, because again, it's the standard Windows Hello flow at this point in time. However, if I've forgotten my PIN or otherwise need some account changes, I can still go back down to that login with jumpcloud, that credential provider there, and that will override and can reset the local PIN. So that's us being an authentication package in addition to a credential provider on the Windows side. So we want to give you a really easy way for your users. You can reset their password in jumpcloud. You've got IT staff that can do that already, so they reset the password in jumpcloud. They just go back here, click to log in, and they would start that whole authentication process again. As long as they get a token that's got the same name as a user that's already on the system, we'll then able to take them back into that account. Right? So hopefully should do a lot better with password lockouts, refreshes, things like that you need to do. We're trying to mirror this on the Apple side. There is some complexity with File Vault. We already have a service account on the Apple side, so we think we should be able to do that. As long as you don't mind your keychain going away, that's just a natural. If you can't remember your password, we're never going to be able to open up your keychain, so we'll create a new one for you. I think it's the same on the Windows side if your PIN gets reset. I'm not as familiar with the Windows keychain flows that are in there. We also want to give you some nice ways of making this very brandable so that you would be able to put your own logos down here. We know, everybody knows jumpcloud, of course. We've got, we're known around the world, but your end users may not, right? Yeah. So if you want to put your own logos down here to make it really crystal clear of where users should be able to sign in, we should be able to support that. And then once I've clicked on here, we do have some options to, do something with the UI here. So maybe show your own logo so you have a really nice branded experience of getting into the device. We're also looking at having also some onboarding flows. Right? It's not as common on the Windows side. Typically, you warehouse the PCs, you put all the stuff on it, so you don't need to do as much just-in-time provisioning on the Windows side. But if there's interest in that, we should also be able to put some, hey, getting your PC ready or something like that we can set up for you so you've got a little bit of a better out-of-box experience as you're going through there. Questions on the Windows side? I was taking requests downstairs of new things to put into login windows. So anything you'd love to see in a login window that I didn't show?
Excuse me.
Well, fantastic. Sounds like we're hitting the right notes then.
As we think about this, what this represents is a wholesale new future based on an open directory platform. Doesn't matter where your identity starts, we can handle the login window for you. If your identities start at Okta, or if they start at Azure, or if they start at Google, we can process those into users that your jumpcloud device will handle and understand. And then turn those into single sign-on actions that are seamless, phishing-proof, and highly secure, and bound to the device with the device identity. Yep. And so the work that we have been doing here has been laying out the groundwork for the most secure identity that we can provide, that anyone can provide. And we're really excited about this future. We think you're going to love it. We will have a lot more to show you over the next couple of weeks. We had a partner and customer webinar yesterday talking about our roadmap for the year. Please go and take a look about that. You'll hear a little bit about jumpcloud Go during those conversations from my colleagues Greg Armanini and Lindsay Thompson. And I highly recommend going to take a look at what else we're working on, because we're not just doing devices. We're a full-service platform for the future of identity. And so with that, I say thank you, and come see us at lunch. Come say hi, and always happy to talk with folks about questions. I was going to say, I still have a few MacAdmins Foundation stickers, but they're starting to run low. So come grab one if you're interested. Thanks, everybody. It's been fun.
Thank you.